Unwanted change is just exactly that. It's change that nobody wants. Big changes that you didn't choose. You know, we all have changes we choose. We choose what plants we want to put in our landscape. We choose what kind of a car that we want to purchase, what kind of a career we want to go after, the relationships that we want to cultivate, the clubs that we want to get into, the sports that we want to watch, or. I mean, we have a billion different choices that we make. On the other hand, we also experience unwanted changes, change that takes place in our life that we never asked for in the first place, unwanted change. It might be, for instance, that you've poured everything you have into your business and things happen beyond your control and bang, it's all gone. Your savings, your future, or so it seems, everything is in the tank and it ain't coming back. Wow. Or maybe you go to work really excited one day about what the next project you're going to do, only to find that your company's been bought out and you don't have a job anymore. Wait a minute. You've still got car payments and house payments and insurance payments and groceries to buy and kids in college and. What? Or maybe it's a huge loss, You lose your spouse, you lose your child, your best friend dies in a car wreck, or who knows what. Change. Unwanted, huge change. And those kind of changes are cripplers. They just suck the life out of us. We weren't looking for it, and there it is. How in the world do you handle this stuff? As I was sitting in church today, a thought occurred to me about that. Since it wasn't church, I'd like to think it was inspired. And in just a second, I'll tell you what that is. But before we get there, make sure you hit that subscribe button underneath this and the like button. And more than anything, comment. That's the lifeblood of what we do here. And share. Share this with anybody who's going through a big change. A change they didn't choose. A change they didn't want. Okay. What is the inspiration? Makes sense to me, and I hope it makes sense to you. When you are dealing with, facing, having to handle a big unwanted change, it is as if suddenly you find yourself in sand. And for our purposes, though I realize there are probably 1,000 different kinds or more of sand, we're going to reduce it to two kinds: sinking sand or strengthening sand. Sinking or strengthening, one or the other. On the one hand, there is sinking sand. I suppose another word for sinking sand would be quicksand. When I was a kid, quicksand was a terror. If you go to a movie and somebody was in a jungle and they inadvertently got into quicksand, oh no, quick, find a big branch and help them to grab it so we can pull them out of there, or they'll just sink and die. And I'm sure in some of those horror flicks we saw people succumb to quicksand. It's really not like that. All that quicksand is, or sinking sand is there's just more water underneath that sand than there are granules of sand. And so it makes it, with that liquid, less possible for you to stand on, and you just start sinking into it. Now, the truth of the matter is sinking sand, quicksand, is usually only about 1 foot deep, 1.5 foot deep maybe. But still, if you're in 1 foot or 1.5 foot, of sand so that it's up over your ankle, you're kind of feeling stuck. That's one of the kinds of sand that we find ourselves in, just stuck in that sinking sand. On the other hand, there is sand that strengthens. Now that is that hard sand. If you're at the beach, you know, where the water comes up and then it recedes and there's that wet area of sand that's kind of hard, kind of packed. I mean, your feet go down into it, but not very far. You can get traction, you can move, you can run, you can walk relatively easily. Once you move into the powdery stuff, it's a whole lot harder. Interestingly enough, even in that harder kind of sand, you exert 1.6 times as much energy as if you were as over against walking on a field or a path or some other such thing. And once you get into the powdery stuff, it's a whole lot more. So your heart rate goes up and all of that stuff. So it's tougher, no doubt about that. But interestingly enough, as you persevere walking on it, trudging through it over time, you get stronger and stronger and stronger. Because you're using muscles you don't normally use, and you start developing those muscles. And your leg gets stronger, legs, and overall you are stronger. As you persevere, your life is just in a better place. Well, okay. Granted, all analogies break down. They really do. But just hang with me here for a minute. When we face unwanted change, big unwanted changes like I have here recently, we're all in sand. You know, we're no longer on that nice sort of lawn of life, enjoying skipping through the daisies. No, we're not there at all. We're in sand, and it takes a whole lot of effort to move, to get anywhere. And sometimes we just want to sit down and quit. You actually end up over time in one or the other kinds of sand. All of us start in that sinking sand, all of us. Problem is, some people stay there. They never get unstuck. And so as you're stuck in that sinking sand, your lives are filled with tears and fears and complaints and thoughts of regret and coulda, woulda, shoulda. We look back over our shoulder at life as it was, and we desperately want it to be that same way again, and it's never going to be like that again. It's past. It's done. It's over. We mope, we complain. We try desperately to will that past into the present, and it just never shows up. And as a result, we're not just stuck, that we just slowly sink in our sadness. Some stay in sinking sand. On the other hand, others choose to move forward, albeit they find it challenging. They get onto that harder sand or into the softer sand, and with effort, they slowly but surely start moving forward. Strangely enough, the more they do that, the stronger they get. Now, do they want to quit? Do they want to just give up? Yep. No doubt about it. Sometimes the effort seems overwhelming. Sometimes it just seems impossible. And yet they get a sense that there is a new future out there. And if they just start moving again, even taking micro steps day by day, that new future is going to unfold. So even though it's hard, they start moving forward. Now, I don't know where you are in your big change right now in your life, but I do know for me, however hard it might be, I don't want to stay stuck in sinking sand. I want to always move out of that stuff and with whatever effort it takes, start moving forward. I'm not forgetting my past. I'm not forgetting the great things that are there, have been there, that I have learned, that are very much a part of who I am. And I don't know what the future holds, but this much I do know. I know who holds the future. And I know his promise is for good things as I trust him moving forward. I also know this. I'm not going to experience any of those things unless and until I am moving. You know, you've heard it said before that you can't steer a parked car. Well, God's not going to steer a parked life. Instead of staying stuck in the sand, we need to start moving forward. So how about you? And how about those big unwanted changes in your life? What kind of sand are you in right now? And how's it working for you?